maybe they all want the same thing, like throughout the campaign. Like they have their own styles, so it's like they like the same end goal, like the same. They all have the same end goal, but they have different ways of going about it. Does that make sense? And that could be conflicting.
Where they all are wanting it and will fight each other.
Can you imagine we kill Strahd and then
you all kill each other?
Have to fight each
then they
other.
I don't know if Silas would do that.
I'm fine with that.
I think Silas would just give up.
Hello, adventurer, and welcome to our after show for our Curse of Strahd actual playthrough, where we talk about what we just did. In this after show, we are going to be discussing our thoughts and theories from episode 10 through 15. If you haven't already seen those, please note that we will be talking about some heavy spoilers, so just know that you have been warned. To start us off, Jefferson, would you like to give us a brief recap on these last few episodes?
Absolutely. In recap, following Felix's death, Silas and Xeno had a funeral for him and then buried his body. While in the meantime, Killian, or Zane's new character, was being tested to see if he was worthy of the Shadow's blessing. He was put through 3 tests and was then considered to be a good host for the Shadow, and soon entered into Barovia. Silas and Xeno found Killian being attacked by zombies and helped save his life. The reluctant party soon made their way to the village of Barovia, where Silas was immediately seen as a threat. The party was soon met by Ismark, who, through some convincing, offered the party the opportunity to help the town. Our adventurers then met up with Ismark and his sister Irina, and were given tasks to do while staying in the town. They also ran into Granny M, who gave them all some dream pastries. The party made their way to the old Durst factory, where they almost all died, and Silas was given a vision of his past life. Xeno later made a pact with an entity he has been trying to contact for a while. The next day, the group cleaned the local well and finished clearing out the factory. Later that night, Silas visited Felix's grave, Xeno made a deal with a drunk man, and they all met up at the church and witnessed the March of the Dead.
I love the cleaning the local well. It makes it sound like we were just out there like scrubbing the well. That's awesome.
You just got some Clorox wipes.
Yeah. What did you guys do this session? Oh, we found cleaning supplies and we cleaned the well.
Started a whale washing service.
Exactly.
The whale. You ever seen the shark
tails?
fin? Shark tail. You know
the whale wash. Yeah.
Whale.
Oh my gosh.
That's 5 whales. All right. Anyways, thanks for doing that. And first off, let's open up the night and let's talk about Killian. All right. What are your guys' thoughts on Killian, just in general, and his backstory, as we first met him these last episodes? Where do you think his family got the armor?
I think he is possessed by something.
I don't think he's possessed.
You don't? What do you think it is then?
I think it's more of like a relationship. Like a mutually beneficial relationship. You know how there's like those birds that like eat bugs off of like hippos' backs, and in return they're safe from like other predators? I think that's what it is. I think Killian is the hippo and his armor is the bird, and or vice versa.
It's like a symbiotic relationship.
Yes. Yeah, that's the better word for hippo and bird, but I'm going to refer to it now as hippo and bird.
The hippo and bird theory.
As long as it's not parasite, I'm fine with that.
I don't think it's a parasite. I don't think we've seen enough evidence to suggest that it is going to like take you over, you know?
Yeah.
I think the armor wants a piece of Strahd, but needs like a host. And then I think whoever's fighting Strahd needs the strength of the armor, personally. But I could be wrong.
Wait, what if it's like the spirit of the Vistani, like the true Vistani,
Whoa.
Mm.
That would be crazy.
and that's
Would
why
that
it wants
imply that they're-
revenge?
Would that imply that they're evil, though? Because it's like a shadow stuff?
I don't think necessarily. I mean, Xeno's not evil, and he has some shadowy
Xeno's
stuff. So
not evil.
I don't know.
After last episode, I'm not so sure anymore.
yeah, I'm curious if it like what its motives are, why it doesn't like Strahd.
Hmm.
I guess we'll have to find out on that, won't we, Zane?
Is it
Yeah,
the
I guess
spirit? Is it the actual spirit of the Morning Lord? Does the Morning Lord like
Is it
Strahd?
the Morning Lord? Yeah.
So why? I have a question. So why is it called the Shadow if you all worship the Morning Lord?
Also, great question.
Yeah.
I like that.
I don't
Doesn't
know.
answer it.
No,
That is
of
a
course.
great question.
Excellent
Next.
question. I plead the fifth.
Excellent question.
Next
Next.
question.
One of the best
Next.
questions.
I asked the question, and I said, wow, what a great question. He has the armor, and I said, wow, what great armor.
Do you
Still
know?
armor made by China.
Do you
I
know,
don't
Zane?
know.
Do you know what the armor is?
I'll be totally honest. I like kind of know. I don't know like what it is. What's kind of a hard question to ask. I don't know if it's a god. I don't know if it's like does that make sense? Like I don't know
Yeah.
what. I don't know if it's like if it's yeah. Hopefully that answers it. I
Does
just don't
it-
know what it is.
It hasn't spoke to you since the first time, correct?
Not since the nope.
But was that voice the shadows, or was that voice a different entity?
Yeah, or
gifting
was
him
that like the
shadows?
Morning Lord? Is what if whoever has the shadow armor is the
Yes.
champion of the Morning
Of
Lord?
the Morning Lord.
Which would make
Oh, you
sense
know, I love a
why
good
it
champion.
would be called the Shadow. Because the sun creates shadows,
I like that.
Especially in the morning.
especially in the morning. Long shadows in the morning.
Long shadows at night, too. It's kind of a 50-50, but
It's
definitely
a 50-50,
long shadows
but
at
definitely in
night.
the morning.
As well as at night.
Yeah, we can confirm.
I definitely plead the fifth, though.
Yeah, I know you do, because you know.
Tyson knows. Tyson knows.
He knows. He knows.
Yeah, you know.
He knows.
I know. I
Um,
know.
How come these Vistani, Jefferson, why do you think these Vistani don't live in Barovia anymore?
I don't know.
But these
I've
other
been
ones
kind of-
do.
What Vistani?
You're Vistani.
You're
Oh,
Vistani.
yeah, his family.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. Yep.
I wonder if this is the logic in me. This is Jefferson speculating. I wonder if they like denounced in some way Strahd as their prince, because the Vistani that live in Barovia still recognize Strahd as like their prince. They refer to him as their prince or their lord. Right, like that's what we heard from Stefan and the other Vistani we've ran into, you know?
Mhm.
And so maybe that's why they're allowed to pass between Barovia and other worlds, is because they recognize the authority of Strahd, and so Strahd respects
So it was
you
like
know,
a
that acknowledgement. And so like maybe Killian's people like severed that connection by denouncing Strahd or wanting to overthrow him, right?
yeah,
And so because of that, they left once and then could never come back.
is like a faction split where they were
Yeah, pretty
one
much.
and they split into two, but they both still go by the name.
Vistani, yeah.
I wonder if the entity that spoke to Killian is the same one that spoke to Silas.
I
I've
wondered
thought
that
the
too.
I've thought the same thing actually. I
Hmm.
don't know if it actually is. I don't personally think it is, but hey, who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah.
And
know.
also, what if it's the same person that Silas made a pact with? You know what I mean? Like, what if it's all the same entity? Who knows?
Yeah.
I wonder.
We've
if-
heard
It's all
three
Strahd.
three voices.
Mhm.
Yeah, we all kind of have like a little bit of a pact thing going on, like
Mhm.
a sentient, like some kind of omnipotent being of sorts, powerful being of sorts, kind of,
Which is a
relaying
good
us.
sneak peek to our level up, everybody, listeners at home. We're all gonna multi-class into Warlock, so
Yep.
Yeah.
Not true. Oh, freak, I was gonna ask something. Oh, I don't remember, but when Killian was having his little vision, did it talk about like taking back the land or freeing the people? Because I know in Silas's it mentions something about helping whatever it is
to be freed.
to be freed.
Oh, I think it was talking about freeing itself.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Am I hearing that right? Like it was talking about freeing.
Yeah, that's
it.
right.
That's what I
right.
got out of it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I
don't-
forgot that.
And I think I almost called him Felix again. I think Killian's vision just talked about destroying Strahd. Like I don't think it talked about freeing the land. And if it did, it was in the context of save it from this bad guy.
Yeah.
Are
Whereas
our
in
three entities gonna have conflicting interests?
ooh.
Possibility. That is
I think just
absolutely a
laughs.
possibility.
I think for sure mine is.
I think that's a great
Oh
question.
yeah.
For sure.
That's a great question.
Mine is, but I don't think it's gonna interfere with Strahd necessarily.
No, but it might interfere with like the moral compass of the group.
Yeah, it's gonna make it better.
Uh-huh.
A compass has to have four sides.
Yeah.
It needs to have opposition.
Just
It has
because
to be a
yours
north
points.
to have a south.
Yeah, exactly. Just because yours points north, it's gotta have a south.
That's fair.
What? What do you mean
fair.
that's fair? Where was all this crap whenever I was playing Theseus?
We didn't have
That's fair.
compasses in Theros.
Yeah,
I guess
they didn't
it's
have
good to a
compasses.
position.
First off, there's no compasses there. Second off,
I'm openly evil.
yeah, second off, he's not in denial. Third off, you had every chance through the campaign to not go that way. Every available
That's totally
chance.
true. No, I'm not trying to go against that. No, I agree. He 1000%. Every almost every time when he could have gone left, he definitely would.
See, I'm taking a book out of Theseus's playbook, dude. That's all.
Yeah. So go watch
Hashtag
Theros if you haven't seen it.
definitely evil.
Yes. Oh man! So speaking of the trials that Killian had to go through, I kind of want to talk about the choices that you made.
Yeah.
So the first trial, you basically were asked to like give up your inner demons, and you said something along the lines of like you don't want to be a disappointment and you don't feel like you can live up. Like I want to kind of dive into that.
Yeah.
Where is Killian at? Like that's
Um,
kind of a side we haven't really seen since then.
Mhm.
So I want to like where is he at mentally?
Yeah, 100%. So, definitely like quite the like that was a little bit of a dive into Killian. I mean, like that's like some big backstory stuff. I feel like that kind of came out right off the get-go. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would. So Killian has a lot of pressure, from his family to kill Strahd. I feel like that's. I mean, kind of already out there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They literally sent his family, sends him. They send him out to Barovia to kill Strahd, and he's not the first one.
In his family or just from his tribe?
Yeah, does Killian have siblings?
Ooh.
He kind of gives off
It's
youngest.
a great question.
He kind of gives off youngest brother vibes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Being the youngest child, he totally does. Plead the
Maybe.
fifth. I plead the fifth.
I was just about to say, of course, you're a youngest
Wonderful
child.
questions.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So, anyway, so I mean, he has a lot of pressure on him, and he just doesn't want to disappoint his family. And it's
His
a rough
older brother
situation.
did.
Is his older brother dead? Is that what you said?
I said because his older brother did.
Oh, I see.
Mm. So it's almost like the opposite of typical like younger siblings. Like most younger siblings, and they're like their older sibling is like amazing, and they're just so good, and you're always
They're
trying
always
to
living
live
in the
up to
shadow.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Killian, it would almost be like flipped. Like maybe his brother was awesome, but then he failed, and so he's like, well, what chance do I have, or something? You know, like that's
Yeah.
kind of an interesting flip on that.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
which implies that his brother came before him and possibly died. Will Killian see his brother in the March of the Dead?
Mm.
That'd be nutty.
That'd be crazy.
Or even his sister. Could be his sister
Yeah,
too.
it could be
Could be a
either one.
sister.
It could be.
Tyson, I'd like to roll an inside check on Zane.
I get advantage because of my
I was just about to say, do it with a disadvantage.
Yeah. It hides my emotions.
Hide my emotions. I think that's something we can all relate to some extent, though, is the not wanting to disappoint family.
Mhm.
Has Killian's whole life led up to this? Did he know from a young age that this would kind of happen?
Yeah. I would say yeah. I mean, yeah,
Okay.
pretty much. I mean, maybe not from like birth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they're like, you know, like this is like the chosen one. Not really that kind of thing. I think it was more of like he developed a talent, and after like his family kind of has seen his talent and intellect, they kind of were like, this is the guy, we're gonna put our eggs in his basket, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna, if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be him. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna send Killian out there.
No wonder you have such a fear of disappointing your family.
Right.
I'm so excited for all of this to come out in game.
Yeah, we just haven't had much to. I think we've been kind of more exploring kind of like our relationship with his relationship with the party, and like building up his personality and stuff like that. So backstory kind of stuff kind of has taken a little bit of a back seat.
It's all right.
But it's just
I'll
totally
get
fine.
it out of you.
Yeah, we'll get there.
It also kind of makes sense as to why he wouldn't necessarily want to cling to these people, because he's like, I don't want to get close to these people because I'm going to, one, disappoint them, and I don't want to add more people to disappoint on my list, or
Fair.
two, I'm going to get them and myself killed trying to do this thing.
Yep.
So it kind of makes sense as to why he's kind of pulled back.
Or get attached and lose one of them. He knows how dangerous Barovia is. You know what I mean? He grew up, you know, hearing stories of Barovia. His family's from Barovia. Knows it's a hostile place.
I like that. But I think the biggest interesting thing about your trials was the second trial. I really want to dive more into your answers. So the trial went that you were given two options. You could save a king or a group of like poor people, peasants, just the serf, right?
Right.
Nothing great as far as status goes. And you chose to save the poor rather than the king. And I want to know what made Killian make that decision, where it was, instead of going after someone who has great influence, it was going after the people who would be the base of a structure. Like, what made Killian make that decision?
I think it's exactly how you just said it. If you listen to what you said, there's the person with influence, and then there's the base. And the person with influence isn't anything without its base, its foundation. Does that make sense? Like without its foundation, without the people, the king means nothing. Without its subjects, he's just a person. So I think what kind of his thought process was that, and the fact that the king, the people of influence get their power from the masses, and that they're without the poor, without the people as little as they are, they're still people and they have influence, and with great number, it can really impact a lot of things, I guess.
Does that maybe stem a little bit from his opinion on Strahd? Like, does Strahd have an influence on that opinion?
Yeah, I could say that. Yeah, for sure. He's Strahd is definitely a person in power. He's probably heard stories his whole life. Strahd's bad. All of this. King. Yeah, absolutely. And then of course he is kind of like he's a Vistani. You know what I mean? And they're a little bit gypsy. Way of the land, kind of living off the land, kind of. Definitely not like rich folk, and so they were a little bit poor, and that's just kind of how his family lives. And I think he definitely connects with those kind of people.
I got a question for you, Tyson, and this is more of a DM question.
Mhm.
Would he have passed if he would have chosen the king?
So, a little deep dive into things.
I'm curious about this too. I was wondering if there's any wrong answer.
Was there a wrong answer?
There were no wrong answers.
I didn't think
What
so.
the symbiotic relationship thing, what the shadows wanted to see is what made Killian. So the questions that it asked were basically to just see what he believes in, what he deems good. So it was like, give up your inner demons. It was basically like, look, say what you are having hard. Like, let's be honest, And then the second one was, let's see what you value more. Is it power or is it people? And then the next one was the only one that was like kind of like not roleplay wise, which was the fight between him and the vampire.
Right.
So it was all very like, the thing was trying to see if Killian was a good host, basically, and if his values matched. So
I just like to play devil's advocate and say, could he have chosen the king and said the king can say it has the power to save the poor, so it's a win-win?
yeah, honestly, I thought he was gonna choose the king.
Wow. Okay.
Because I was like, the king has more influence. The king can do more good, can have a wider spread. But it was interesting that he went from that to the people, and so I was like, hey,
But the king only has influence because of his people.
Right. That's why it's like
Whenever he tells the
double-edged
guards to go collect the taxes, it's like, who's he getting the taxes from?
It's a double entendre.
Yeah.
I like that. How it was less about what are you actually going to pick and more about how are you going to, what's your reasoning behind picking what you pick.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Because if he would have picked the king, then the entity or the shadow could have been like, well, he understands the value of what a good king can do, which means he also understands the value of what a bad ruler can do. And so he would get that Strahd is bad and it can be better, whereas he chose the people. So now he's like, okay, he understands what the people mean and how to work with them, and so it's like, it was all to see what kind of a person he wanted to be. So
you actually fought, did he actually fight a real lesser vampire?
Or is it like a thrall?
It was like a manifestation of a vampire. I basically took the stat blocks and just like bumped it down to kind of his level.
Gotcha.
I bet if I lost the vampire fight, I wouldn't. I bet I would have failed the test. Because then again, then he would have been weak. You know what I mean? What do you think, Tyson? If I lost the fight somehow?
I don't know. I maybe would have found a way to turn it
You
around
know-
because I wouldn't want you to make a new character, but
That would've been
I was
so
really
funny.
hoping that you would beat the vampire.
It's like he fails against the vampire, and Tyson's like, well, new character next
Well,
week, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
Too bad. Yeah.
Sucks for you.
I think as like story goes, like let's say we were like reading a book here or something like that, that would have been
Mhm.
the end, and like you lose, you know.
Yeah.
But
So
again,
I don't know. I was really banking on you pulling through on that one. So
That's fair. That's fair.
It's a lot of faith in your player.
oh, but kind of moving on. What are as your characters just barely entered into what will now be the rest of the campaign of Barovia? What are your first thoughts? What are your first thoughts on the village of Barovia, the area? Like, is it what you were expecting?
I think it was more what I was expecting than when we first got into Barovia,
Barovia the country or Barovia the city?
the country. Because at first it wasn't like super bad, other than the
Yeah,
creepy
the-
forest and
And the death house and
and the
Felix
death
dying.
house and
Yeah, not
Felix
that bad
dying.
at all.
But yeah, I think it's been kind of what I was expecting. I'm surprised that it's still, especially talking about the city, I'm surprised that it's still holding on. Because it just seems, I mean, for how many adventures come through, it seems so depressing.
It seems very fragile.
Yes, that's the perfect description.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, I think that Barovia the city is resilient. Because if it was-
Resilient, but
Because if it was
fragile.
fragile, they would have already been gone, right? And like, yeah, I see Ismark doing his best as a burgomaster, following his dad's role to try and keep the people in the city together. But it just seems like against all odds, these people are still here, like, you know, and whether or not they receive help from the heroes that come through, and that's what's kept them going, or whether or not it's been them still trying to make their lives in just this actual living hell. It seems like, you know, despite zombie plague and despite missing persons and despite constant attacks from monsters and vampires, like these people are still here. Like that's just so resilient and tough.
Is the resilience waning though?
I think that they have shown resiliency, but they are in a fragile place. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like you know, like they're kind of like on the cusp a little bit. Like it's kind of just Ismark and like you know what I mean? Like there's a couple of shopkeepers, like things aren't going well. No one has water to drink.
Well, everyone has tons of people have water to drink now.
Yeah,
We
water
bleached
that-
the
Yeah,
well.
'cause we cleaned that
now that
well.
we showed
We
up,
cleaned
yes.
the well.
Yeah.
We just have a couple of those like water purification tablets that we dump in.
Yeah.
We absolutely next town we go to, we have to be like, yeah, we're like the well cleaner. Like if we ever need like a secret identity, we have to be like, yeah, we're the well cleaners.
Let's talk to the people in Barovia. We clean their
Yeah.
well real good.
Yeah.
Start up a business.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Forget
It's a
Strahd.
Not
philanthropy.
monster
We do it for free.
hunters.
We can
Forget
be-
Strahd. We're gonna take these poor people for all they're worth.
We can be Curse of Strahd, well LC.
Well, LC.
Barovia, well LC.
That's
It's like-
hilarious.
Like, Barovia, what are you waiting for? Welcome us. And our new talents.
So many puns.
So many puns.
I think
Save buckets.
I
of
think
cash.
Ismark is the only
Fuck.
one that's really holding this town together at this point, and Irina as well. But I think even Irina is probably having a hard time keeping the people happy. And why is she so happy? Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Why is she so
Kinda
happy?
creepy.
It is kind of creepy. It's a little unsettling. Like, I get Ismark because he's got so much stress, but she's like still overly happy.
Maybe she just doesn't have much stress in her life. You know, like her dad
Yeah.
is Ismark, like, you know, got the moolah.
Youngest child syndrome.
Yeah.
It could be. Who's older, Ismark or Arena?
Ismark.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. It could be that she still has her innocence, right? Despite being attacked, like maybe she is living in a childlike state of hope for whatever reason, or maybe she is literally just choosing to be positive.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's totally possible.
I think it's almost more of a defense mechanism because I just remembered that I rolled an insight check on her and she was super scared. Even though she was acting like, oh, it's all good, everything's fine. I remember that
Right.
she was
I
terrified.
forgot about that.
Probably puts on a show for the people. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, she has to be that beacon of hope, even if she
Yes.
doesn't believe it. Like, she has to, like, put that out there to help the people, because
Mhm.
without that, they have no hope.
Yeah.
Also, while we are on the topic of Ismark and Irina, can we please talk? This has been like, oh, I can't wait for this to come out in game. But how I rolled for investigation, and we found the half human, half wolf prints all around their house, and scratch marks at the windows and the doors.
Mm-hmm.
Does it not sound to anyone else like werewolves have tried to attack tried to get into their home?
For sure.
Know what I
For
mean?
I think it's
Sure.
vampires in wolf's clothing.
Jefferson, you're just trying to stir up drama, okay? I know what you're doing. But maybe you're onto something.
You know,
Forget wolves in sheep's clothing. It's vampires in wolves' clothing.
the real
the
deceivers.
worst possible vampires.
We'll
Yeah.
also put on sheep's clothing.
I wonder why also the attacks have stopped.
Yeah.
Have they
Or
though?
maybe there's gonna be another one.
They-
Have they stopped?
They did say that they haven't happened since their
dad
dad
died.
passed away.
Does it
Mm.
have anything to do with us being there? Or do you think that's an independent factor?
Maybe they were just going after their dad.
I think
For
it's
whatever
more of an
reason.
independent factor. I don't think we have that much influence yet,
Yeah.
but I think that will change.
I'm actually really excited to bring that up and grill them. Be like, why have the werewolves been attacking you people?
Well, I mean, it kind of feels like the monsters attack everybody.
Yeah.
Because was the scratch marks just on Ismark and Arena House, or was it on all the houses all around?
We don't really know.
Yeah, we haven't checked it out. That's actually something good for Killian to look into, though. You know what I mean? Next time
As-
we're walking down the street, just be like,
I was
You know?
probably not listening, but I assumed Tyson was just referring to the houses in the area, Ismark's house and then the couple houses around, like
He
all the
did say-
houses look like
he
they
did
were
say-
being broke into.
he was saying like Ismark's house. From whatever I saw.
Interesting.
I'm guessing it's more
in.
targeted towards Ismark and Irina's because they stand for the Morning Lord.
Right? That's what I was thinking. Well,
Get-
in that, and
get
they're
rid
just
of
the, like
them. Yeah, they're the leaders.
they're the symbols of hope in the
Mhm.
community. They're the, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Very interesting.
Tyson,
Tell us your
Tyson.
secrets.
Hmm.
I'm just
Type
taking
them away.
notes over here.
That's a good
It's like,
idea.
yeah,
Ooh,
yeah.
that's good.
excellent.
Ooh, yes.
You're like, nah,
I'm
no
writing.
way.
I'm writing this campaign now. Look at me. Look at me. I'm the
at me.
DM now.
I'm the DM now.
I'm the DM now.
Oh. Do you guys want to uncover some deep wounds here?
Does it
Only
involve Felix?
Oh, let's talk about the TPK that just about happened.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I told you three after a session, but I don't know if I said it when we were recording, but I initially was like, because you guys fought 3 zombies literally when you found Killian. I was like, they
I
can
thought it was
handle
4. I thought we
4.
fought 4.
It was 3.
Oh.
And
Okay.
so if I mean I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 3. But then I was like, they can handle 4.
We took him out pretty
And-
easy too.
Yeah, you guys did. And I think the only one who really got hit was a lucky nat 20 on like Xeno.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But man,
He
like
stayed up.
yeah, he stayed up. But this time it was different.
You wrecked us.
Yeah. And I was not expecting it at all.
Yeah, that was rough.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have never been in a situation where I was the only one up in the party, regardless of size, right? That was stressful. And there were
Yeah.
moments going through Silas's brain where he was like, or I guess empty skull, where he was like weighing who he saves. Cause there was, I had a plan B, which was just set the place on fire and pick up somebody and go. And there was some serious gymnastics going on as to who that would be.
For sure.
But it ended
would've
up
been-
working out.
It would have been. me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I think it would have
left our
been.
new friend.
It would have been. It would have been.
So I
Xeno.
guess the better question is after Xeno, would Silas have gone back to save Killian? Would he have risked his life to save a stranger, essentially a stranger to him? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he would have.
I don't know. I can't. It didn't
I don't
happen.
know.
So I don't.
Yeah.
I can't answer yes or no to that. But that
I,
was
thi-
sort
I
of the
think.
gymnastics he was doing.
I think Jefferson would have. I don't think Silas would have.
I think you're right. I think that's pretty close.
But because Silas wouldn't have, I think Jefferson would be very tempted to do the same.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think you might have even rolled for it.
Yeah, probably.
Ooh yeah.
Yeah, don't do that. Come save me. How about
Hey.
that?
Don't throw yourself in the middle of a couple zombies, and maybe I will.
Whatever. It was a good plan.
Yeah,
I'm just teasing.
we underestimated them big time.
I think
I
that
think-
one zombie just critting on me right at the very
Mhm.
beginning, just
It took
demolishing
like
me.
21
like,
points of damage to you.
yeah.
And I think the fact that we thought there were 3 and we're like, this will be fine, and then Xeno goes all the way back there, and then there's another one right by him, and it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
there's
Mhm.
4.
But the rolls
Yeah.
that night
Yeah.
were crazy.
Oh,
It was that was stressful. That was one of the most stressful encounters, and it was so dumb. 4 zombies, one of the most stressful encounters of my life.
It's always how it is.
it's-
The low levels are rough.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on the on Tyson rolling behind the screen
I
and then
love
making
it.
known what it is?
I love it. So much better.
Same.
So much
Having
better.
had. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I had so much fun. Cause first of all, like it's stressful for me. Like I want you guys to win, right?
Mhm.
But it was so much fun, like playing with it all, like just drawing it out, and just like
Oh.
that is
well,
actually like super fun.
And having it was so funny because you're like, you feel a faint heartbeat, and it was like, okay. And having had a character that has died in Strahd after you have rolled behind the screen, I as Jefferson was like, that doesn't mean anything. And they're like, he wakes up and begins to speak. I'm like, are they his last words or are they regular?
You
So
were like, are they his last words? I was freaking out. I was like, I didn't even think about that. I thought I
Well,
was in the
because
clear, and
that's-
then you ripped it away. I was
because
like,
that's what happened because Tyson was like, you feel fit. When I had died originally, way back
Mhm.
when, he's like, you feel a faint heartbeat, and you open your eyes and kind of lean up a little
Like,
and catch your breath and say your last words. And I was like, because we thought I had lived. So I love the fact that Tyson is able to play it cool as a cucumber the whole time, just being so you've got a good poker face for that for sure.
Well, it's lots of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
So I hope we have more death saving throws in the future.
We will. We told him to try and kill us.
Yeah, that's fair. He's succeeded once and almost twice.
I will be very shocked if at least one of our characters doesn't die.
same.
I'll be very
Same.
surprised.
Yep.
I'll be happy, but
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I'll be totally honest. I could, at some point, could see Silas maybe, sacrificing himself just in general, like for the cause. You know what I mean? And then, then Silas is just like, go on without me, and you finish this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, fly, you fools.
And then he
Yeah,
makes
but
one
he's
last
putting
stand
Gandalf.
with his gun.
yeah,
It's like,
dude,
boom, boom, boom.
absolutely.
And then they just like
holding
stop
off the
firing,
horde as
pull
we
out
run
your
away.
sword.
Just toss my gun away.
Yeah.
Actually,
That would be so cool.
It's more like
That'd be really
tossing Gimli onto like the bridge,
Mhm.
and he's just holding off like a whole army.
Yep.
Or Boromir protecting
Oh,
Yeah.
the Hobbit.
Oh, yeah. absolutely.
Mm.
That's more what it would be like, honestly.
Yeah, I really didn't
Man,
want
side-
Xeno. I didn't want Xeno to die. I really
I
didn't.
know.
That would have
I
been
mean,
rough for
obviously, I didn't
Silas.
want anybody to die, but I really didn't want Xeno to die.
Especially Xeno.
I know. I like it's so hard because half of me was like, oh my, like we have so much more story to uncover with like these characters. Like I don't want you to die, but also you have to have that fear of death to really like
Mhm.
make it exciting, And
We
so
Yep.
got the fear of death.
yeah, and so it's such a thing because it's like there's so much I want to explore with these characters, but also you have to be okay with them dying
Mhm.
because that's what makes it fun,
That's the real world, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. That's crazy.
Man, well, let us know in the comments if you've ever experienced like a TPK or like an almost TPK. We would love to hear your stories, whether this is from a DM or from a player perspective. Like, please let us know because I would love to hear them, and we'll probably talk about them next after show. Who knows?
We are
Yeah.
here for you as your D&D therapists.
Yes.
How did you feel about that? What are your feelings?
Unlicensed D&D
Unlicensed.
D&D
therapist.
licensed.
We may cause a little bit of trauma, along with
Mhm.
maybe some entertainment.
Mhm.
What's D&D without some trauma?
More like D&D parents. We will absolutely traumatize you, but you'll have a good time some of the time.
But you're gonna
Yeah.
enjoy doing it.
You're gonna
You're gonna suffer, but you're
gonna suffer,
happy about it.
Yeah. But you're gonna be happy about it.
It's so funny.
Oh, it's just so
There's-
happy.
He's back.
I know. I was just about to say, like, if you're watching this, like, you don't even know, like, how much we quote Harry Potter behind the scenes.
Only
like,
a few ones, though.
Yeah.
Only a few.
yeah, only a few ones, but that's so funny that all of us went right there. Oh,
Happy
man,
Christmas,
that's
Harry.
hilarious. Happy Christmas, Harry. Man. Oh. Silas's flashback,
Yes.
right?
Right.
What are some thoughts?
Take it
Am I
away.
supposed to give him what?
Yeah, I want you to answer because you don't even
Why?
know. Because you don't know.
I want to hear your guys' first, and then I'll give mine.
My personal feelings are that based on how Silas acts in this current life with having no prior knowledge, I think he just got put in a bad situation. Something similar to somebody wanting something that he had, such as his land or something else that he had in his possession, and he wasn't willing to give it up. And then the bad guys came and pretty much tried to force his hand. Basically, this is our land now, you're gonna leave. And Silas would be the type to be like, no, I'm not gonna leave, this is mine. That's my personal thoughts. I think Silas is the best character out of all of us, in the sense of being like moral, even though he thinks he questions his maybe not his capability of being good, but his what's the word I'm looking for?
His devotion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know what you're saying, but words fail me.
He just has such a... He takes on so much responsibility. Ooh, Silas could really, and Killian could really relate to each other. I think Silas has a huge not wanting to disappoint the ones that he loves. And that shows very much with Felix.
Ugh.
That his only wish, his wish that he made was that he would get safe, and he feels like it's my fault because I didn't protect you, and therefore I'm like a disappointment.
Yeah.
Maybe not to anybody else, but to himself.
Yeah. What are your
Well,
thoughts,
maybe
Zane? Oh, go
maybe
ahead.
the similarities are another reason why Silas dislikes Killian so much. Is because he's like, you know, like I see me and you,
and I don't like me.
yeah.
Silas does not like Silas, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think you're definitely onto something, Tyson. I'm so excited to explore Killian and Silas's relationship, like going forward when more things get thrown at them. I think it's going to be very give and take, push, like push pull, like good, bad, kind of just good, bad, and the ugly. You kind of get a little bit of both. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. I think it's gonna be a fun dynamic. I think you're.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna talk about your backstory, but
Sweet. Right. Yeah.
What was your question?
That was. What do you have any thoughts on my backstory? Was what I was
nice,
literally
nice.
about to say. So
I can read your thoughts. I think there's a lot of different directions that Silas's backstory could be coming, like that could be coming from. Definitely, I love the. I think a very big possibility is like Tombstone, Wyatt Earp. Like sheriff of the town, and the cowboys are coming in, and they're bad news, and they're there to kill and plunder and take, and Silas is there to stop them, and then he does something he's not supposed to or something like that provokes them, and then he's got to protect his family and his land, the cowboys come and they're come to collect their pound of flesh. You know what I mean? I think that definitely could be one way of looking at it. Or he got himself into some kind of like trouble. So like maybe he isn't the law, even though I definitely could see him being like the sheriff of a town. Maybe he got himself into some trouble, and because of that trouble, got his family in trouble. And he's just trying to do his best to right his wrongs. Yeah.
it's interesting because, given the context of how I started the campaign, like by a burned house, with some bodies inside, I had always assumed that would have been my family, right? But I wasn't gonna be like, yeah, this is my family, But I think that gave Silas an edge of believing it was, even though he had no idea. which I mean Jefferson believed it was, even though he had no idea. But now that it's like confirmed, it's like okay, yeah, that makes sense. And the answer to both of those speculations is I have no idea because again, instead of writing a backstory, I just message Tyson and says, "Here's some more work to do. Thanks. You're great." Which was very selfish of me, but it's been so fun to guess at it. What I believe is, and how I've played Silas, what Silas believes, is what I believe. I don't know any of this. I don't think he's as good as you think he is, Connor. I think that he when he first got here believed that this was hell, and I think that he deep down in his gut like knew he was there for a reason, and that reason was that he wasn't good beforehand. And not to say like, so one, to answer yours, Zane, I don't think he was a sheriff. I don't think he was any kind of law. I actually think it was the opposite. I personally think that he ran with like a gang of outlaws that, you know, robbed and plundered and hustled cattle and rustled cattle. Sorry, not hustled cattle. Oh, I got a pool table with a bunch of cows. He's like, that'll be $50. The cows are like, dang it, man! Like you said, you were bad at this game.
You just hustled us.
Yeah, you just hustled us. Rustled cattle. And whether or not, and it's interesting because then the question comes, okay, why did this gang, if he belonged to a gang, I don't know if he did or not, right? But this is kind of like my imagination or what he believes. Why did this gang feel the need to come after him and his family especially? And I wonder if it is because maybe he decided to go straight and, you know, turn the gang in or do something to say, you know, break ties with the gang, or he wronged the gang in some other way. You know, maybe he found out about a job and didn't tell them about it, or, you know, refused to do a job for whatever reason. And so there was some retaliation.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason is. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say it could even be that you were in a gang and got out, but that the law just eventually caught up to you, and you, in the interim of all of that, you found this lady, fell in love, had a kid, and then it just eventually caught up to you, and yeah. So it could have been not even that it was the gang, but that it was just the law, and that's why you felt so much guilt about it. It's because you knew, like, oh, this is my fault.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's like, it's hard for me to believe that it was the law. The law would just come up and shoot up a house. But if the law didn't know that he had a family there, and they know that I'm a bad guy that's a good gunslinger, like, why wouldn't they come up and just shoot at the house? So
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, there's so much it could be. So, and I like that it's confirmed that the picture. Tyson, I will say it was really fun to build that flashback with you, and like how everything just kind of like built up with it, you know, how it's like a bullet hits the lamp that starts a fire in the corner, which explains the
which by the way, I loved way more than anything I could have just come up on my own. Like I loved doing that. That was so much fun.
Yeah. And then how I was like, there's, you know, the glass is shattering and a picture's falling on the ground. And you're like, and that picture is, you know, it was perfect. Oh, it was so perfect. And then, might I say that you wrote my wife to be the coolest wife ever. The fact that like I grabbed the rifle from her, give the idea that she, you know, she was obviously protecting the family. Oh, it's like could not have been written better. I was like, that's the exact kind of woman that Silas would have married. So
yeah, and the rifle that you carry around was hers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like it.
What?
Nothing.
An epiphany.
You can't just do that.
Yeah, you can't just make that face and then not say anything.
Hey, listen. I was like, because Silas still doesn't know her name because the picture's just signed A. But maybe this whole time, the name of his gun, which he hasn't spoken yet, is really the name of his wife because she just put her name on her gun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
And that's why I went,
Ooh,
'Cause
I'm
now he knows.
excited.
This
right?
is Tyson.
I know.
Yes,
Right
that's exactly
name.
what it was.
Yeah, I thought about that the whole time.
It is. It is. Which, yeah, is interesting. So, there's a lot of ways it could have gone. And there's a lot of ways it can go from here. But it was awesome. Exactly how I'd want Silas to die the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a hail of bullets.
But that wasn't the first time.
What?
Yeah.
I said in the thing.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
This isn't the
That
first
wasn't
time.
the first time.
That's crazy. I forgot about that. This is the second deal I've made.
That's wild.
Maybe Silas had a gambling problem.
Maybe.
He likes making deals. You know what I mean?
Maybe. Silas doesn't feel like a gambler. But then again, I don't know my backstory, so that could be true.
And the Silas
Also,
that
I
you're
haven't-
playing could be a different Silas than in the past. You never know.
What do you mean?
Like you've said before that maybe this past Silas was this type of a person, whatever it may be, but now you're trying to redeem yourself of those things.
Right,
So it's
I gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah,
you never know.
that
but-
makes sense.
Also, I do want to say something. We have on camera discussed your first death. So,
Really?
yes.
What?
Yeah.
Like recently?
Like in the episodes.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, recently, like in the last couple episodes or like in the beginning?
I think it was episode 9.
I don't even remember that.
When you
When
you
I was in
dropped.
the void. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. When I said
Yeah.
I'll do anything to come back. See, I thought that was in reference to my first death, meaning just the one right before this one.
I know.
But it's not.
Oh my
But
gosh,
it's
that's
in reference to the
crazy.
other one. What
It's the
heck?
first one.
I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out.
That's wild.
That I could have never expected that. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, I never realized that.
Yeah.
So what are you?
And the only reason I say it is because it's all out there. So I'm not necessarily spoiling anything.
That's
But-
what?
What do
Or
you?
but did you catch it?
What do you get out of all of this? And why do you keep making deals?
I don't know. Here's my speculation. I could see Silas making a deal with any entity to stay alive. The first time he dies, as just him being fearful for his own life, like him worrying about just protecting Silas, protecting his own skin. I can see him making the deal the second time, which I guess is evident in the way we played that out, because I'll do anything, I'll do whatever you want for a second chance, right? So that was awesome. And then I think the second time that he takes the deal, not for himself, well, I guess still for himself, but in a way to redeem himself. So rather than him just trying to save his neck, he's making the deal to try and save his soul, basically. So it's less of a just let me live and more of let me make right all the things I've done wrong. Which I also think changes the attitude of Silas on who he is, you know? And because maybe that first death was the turning point. Maybe I died and then came back and was like, wow, I've got a second chance at life. I'm going to settle down and have a family. And then my past life catches up with me, kills me again. And then
That's so interesting. I wonder if you even remembered your first life when you went into the second one.
I don't know. That's crazy. And which life do I remember?
Yeah. Which one's actually...
What?
Holy crap.
Which one is the one that's... Oh, this is gonna be weird. And is it... I don't think it's a reincarnation thing, personally, but... No, I
Even
think
though
it's like...
I've actually always wanted to like delve into it. I think that'd be a really cool thing to have in D&D, like a reincarnation kind of thing where you remember like your past lives and maybe some like mistakes you made or something. So that's pretty cool. I've always wanted to delve into that.
I don't personally think for Silas it's a reincarnation. I think it's himself every time, but...
Super interesting.
Mm-hmm. And there hasn't been... Silas hasn't talked about something that he has that leads him to believe he was part of a gang, but that can come up in future episodes.
A little note that says,
Interesting.
I was in a gang.
It's, yeah. Signed Silas.
Yeah.
He has a tattoo on his lower back.
Oh,
The
Property
that
of...
says like property of a gang.
No wonder it hasn't
Los
come up.
Diablos. No, it's something I described it in my introduction of what he looks like. He wears it. It's his belt buckle. Yeah. It is a skull with crossed barbed wire behind it. Like a skull and crossbones.
And you see it every time you watch the introduction.
Yeah, you do.
Been staring at us
It's the
this
little
whole
details.
time.
It's the little details. He hasn't talked about it, but maybe he will. Is he the skull?
How fitting your current circumstance is super fitting for the skull.
What do you mean?
You're a
Oh,
skeleton.
me being a skeleton? Yeah. No.
I could also
Yeah, I think
see. I love your theory about like the first and second time, and that this time is more to save your soul, and that could even be why it was just like, okay, you're gonna go back as a skeleton. Good luck.
And why I'm like, I don't care. Like, I want to save my soul. Yeah. Wow. I have a lot to look forward to. Watch as I die next episode.
No, don't you dare.
No.
A zombie.
Yeah, a zombie. A rogue zombie. I get turned into a werewolf.
Could you be turned into a werewolf?
Yeah.
If
I don't
they,
know.
Work out.
If they can only bite your bones, you know what I mean? There's no
So
flesh there.
I have
Does
had that
count?
question this whole time, and I have not asked Tyson because I don't know if that's something. That might be something we'll have to figure out when it happens, if it happens. But I
Yeah.
just don't know. I just don't know if Silas could be turned into a vampire and/or a thrall because he has no blood.
Can you imagine a skeleton werewolf? That'd be the most terrifying thing you've ever seen in
It
your
would
entire
just
life.
be the bones of the
Yeah,
werewolf.
like just the bones of a
changes.
werewolf. Yeah, it has like
Oh,
the canine head.
Cool. Oh, that's
Oh.
terrifying.
I know,
Ooh,
right?
maybe we went from
All right, well,
Silas
we're gonna have a
can't to
werewolf
Silas
in the next
can.
episode.
And then, yeah, the werewolf thing, because like it's an infection. Well, it actually technically it's just a curse. So
There's other ways to apply curses than just to
Yeah.
have, be bitten by something.
right, but it's like the whole idea behind like canonic werewolves and
lycanthropy.
vampires, yeah, lycanthropy,
Yeah.
is the bite transfer something to the person's blood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I'm a closed system. You know, I'm just a bunch of dry bones. It's like biting into a rock. If do the bones that the werewolf eats, like, to like keep himself fed, do those turn into little werewolves inside of his body?
Well, they're not animated.
So does consciousness determine lycanthropy, or is it what's alive and what's not alive?
I think it's however Tyson wants to rule it.
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
you're right.
Yeah, we'll have to jump over that hurdle when and if it happens.
Okay.
But I've also had that same thought because I mean the whole premise is about vampires and you don't have blood, so I don't know.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Anyway, yeah, that's Silas. So
I love it. For not having a backstory, your characters become so complex.
I know it's so fun.
Good job, Tyson.
Thank you for writing my backstory, Tyson.
Yeah. Well, thanks for helping out.
I know
the
it's
ship.
more. It's a co-op. You know, you're not writing everything, and I understand that because if you
Yeah.
did, then it would just be like, you do this. So I appreciate the flexibility,
I also
but it's also fun to like the mystery of it. You know.
I love that it is a co-op, but I also love that for the first time in a while, you've had full control over one character and their backstory, and you're like, nah, I'm just gonna double it and give it to the DM. Because you're like our forever DM, dude.
I know.
Yeah, you're like, we've been playing Theros for like a year and a half. I want to play a character, but I
I'm
don't really
tired.
want to do a backstory.
I'm tired of
done.
writing
Just-
stuff.
I'm just so tired.
It's awesome.
I think I want to
Rest.
go home
Rest.
now. I don't know if that's really why. That could be why. Maybe I was just exhausted. I mean, I could have written Silas's backstory, and I could have been like, here's my backstory, but Silas doesn't remember it. You know, but you know that my DM style is I plan points and then I like to create around those points as you guys play through it. You know, and I think that just bled into my backstory was like, here's my backstory, like here's where Silas is now. You do what you want with the beginning. But like, you know, so Tyson's built a skeleton around that, and then I've been able to fill in the pieces and just like role play with who Silas is now, which I think kind of determines his past and who he's become.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's very fun. So thank you for doing all my work, Tyson.
Yeah. But speaking of unknown pasts, let's talk about Xeno for a little bit. Who is this? What is this entity that you've contacted and made a pact with?
Xeno definitely didn't know what it was. He just kind of knew that there was something, and I think is a little bit desperate for more, and so it was a kind of like a, you know, throw your fishing line out there and see what bites.
So is that like, because I've had a question this whole time, which was, have you just been like sending signals out to anything and hoping anything will answer, or have you been targeting this deity or this entity specifically?
I think probably at first it was more kind of throwing signals out to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And as he would get nibbles, he would kind of try to focus in more and more, but he never knew what it was exactly that he was reaching out to.
And so, I mean, like, what started it? Like how did you discover that? Was it more of like you just started to do it one day, or you like heard whispers of something that's out there, or like a feeling you got? Like, what instigated it? Because obviously you haven't been doing this forever.
No. How do I answer this?
I'm asking the right questions.
It would have been that Xeno is a very charismatic person.
Really?
Very. And it would have been that he started to make a lot of friends, but that there hit a stagnant point and he wanted more. And so his solution to wanting more, being having been in the Fae for a long time, was to reach out to something higher than himself, to try and elevate himself, because he felt like he had hit a plateau of what he could accomplish with his natural born talents.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Saying just enough, but not
Just
really
enough.
anything.
Love it. He answered, yeah, that's good enough answer for me.
Here's a question about Xeno that I don't know if we've ever talked about.
Okay.
How old is Xeno?
Ooh, that's a good one.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't really know what exactly he is. But how old is he? Could be hundreds of years old.
I
We
don't
don't know
think
that.
Xeno exactly knows how old he is.
That is interesting.
Is
Not
that
not in
he-
the sense that I'm ancient,
Of course.
but in the sense that it's not really important to him.
Kind of loses
And-
track over a long period of
Yeah,
time.
and being in the Fae for so long, time is so weird there. that
Interesting.
It's like I could be 50, I could be 150, I could be older, but it's kind of just he got so enraptured in what he was trying to accomplish for himself that it didn't matter. It's not like he celebrates birthdays or anything. I would say, from being Connor, that Xeno's older than he thinks he is. Like in the hundreds of years.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting.
But that's just my guess. I've never
I could
said
definitely see
I've
that.
never said an age on it. I never decided, oh, Xeno's this old.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's a very good question.
Thank you.
How does Xeno feel about this deity? This entity? We need to stop referring to it as a deity because it might not be. It might just
not
be
be.
an entity.
It might just be an entity. He feels very privileged that it reached back to him. He is not trepidatious about it in the slightest bit. He's very... If it can serve him in a way, then he's all about it. Does that make sense? So it's like, yeah, you might be bad, you might be evil, but if you can help me elevate myself, then yeah, what do you need? Let's be friends.
So what does that get? What does the entity get out of Xeno?
I don't know. That I have no idea.
And then, I had another good question. Like, okay. What made this time different? Why did it reach out now as opposed to all the other ones? Do you know, or can you speculate as to why that
My
is?
Probably because it
speculation.
wants something that Xeno's close to. He's getting closer to whatever this thing wants.
Yeah, there's probably an aspect of that. And I think another really big part of it is that me as the player, I just decided Xeno's at the point, because even though I haven't been doing it for very long in our actual campaign, Xeno's been at this for like probably close to decades, trying to get something. And he
Dang.
gets little nibbles here and there, but it's never been. And so I decided he was at the point where he was just going full commitment, where he's like, I will sacrifice something of mine, and if it wouldn't have been enough with the pinky, then it would have been, I don't know, something more.
And A skeleton.
And
A child.
A child. Yes, I
Felix.
sacrificed Felix.
I knew it.
Yep. No, I don't think it could have been. It couldn't have been something else. It had to be personal. It couldn't have been somebody else. Or an animal or something like that. Xeno would have tried that in the past.
Gotcha.
So it had to be personal. Yeah, I think it was just enough. I think it was just like him finally getting over the hurdle of, I'm gonna commit. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna commit. And hope that that's enough.
I like it.
Yep. And it worked. I was so happy too. Because I didn't like pre-plan that or anything. I was just like, I'm going to do this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that episode honestly had a lot of unplanned things that turned out to be so good. So it was awesome.
But to answer your question overall about this entity, he feels really good. Really happy.
Very bueno.
Congrats.
Thank you. Been working hard.
Yep.
Finally got that raise.
Putting in that evil work.
Is there any sort of connection that you think between all of these entities? I mean, we kind of touched about it at first, but like, do you think there's any sort of connection or anything that ties these three things of Xeno's entity, Silas's deal, Killian's armor, anything that ties them together?
From a player perspective, there has to be. I just don't know what it is, because I don't even know what mine wants.
I think maybe like all three of them are very powerful, but they are all servants of someone much more powerful, like the Raven Queen.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I've never thought of that.
And so, oh, I love that. That's cool.
I saw that smile, Tyson.
That's
You saw it.
really
It
That
caught
was
you
good.
4K.
He's like, yeah, as he's writing down, that's interesting.
Servant of Raven Queen.
I wonder at what point all of our patrons, I'm saying patrons because I know we're not warlocks, but all of our patrons,
Yeah.
I anticipate there will come a time where they will all come into odds with each other, and I wonder when that happens, what sides we as players will choose.
I personally
Yeah.
think it's going to be whenever we start talking to each other about it. Because none of us have said anything to anybody else in the party that we have any type of dealings with anything.
Real.
That's true.
Yeah,
Man, look at all you keeping secrets.
Yeah, but it's secrets we all know.
Horrible.
yeah, it's secrets that everybody know exists.
I guess, okay, that's not fair because we all knew. We all knew what Theseus was and who he worshipped. That's unfair to put that on him.
all right,
It wasn't a
all
secret.
Right, all right, you're not true. You're not wrong. I should say.
Yeah, I am really curious though how that's going to affect the party and if it's going to cause strife or if it's going to be like, hey, that's kind of another thing we have in common. Our goals might be differing a little bit, but we all have a similar goal, which could also be that all of these entities want what Strahd has. They
Fair.
could all be vying for his power.
They want his domain.
Mhm.
They you kind of conquer him so they get it. you know.
Yep.
Or maybe they all want the same thing, but maybe like throughout the campaign, like they have their own styles and they have their own like reasons for like the way that things conflict is they're like the best way to do this is, you know, you go left, and then someone's like, no, but the best way to do it is go right, you know. So it's like they like the same end goal, like the same, they all have the same end goal, but they have different ways of going about it. Does that make sense? And that could be conflicting.
Where they all are wanting it and will fight each other, and we're just the vessels to kill Strahd, and then we can let them. We can let them scrap it out.
Can you imagine we kill Strahd and then like
then you all kill each other?
Have to fight each other.
They make us duke it out.
That would be bonkers.
I don't know if Silas would do that.
I'm fine with that.
I think Silas would just give up.
I'm cool with that plot point though. That sounds awesome. We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it, Tyson. But like definitely, like you could be like, you know, like we want you to do it, and we're like, no.
We're like,
it'd be really cool.
Tyson, we don't want you to do it, but
you should do it.
We don't want you to do it. We don't want you to do that.
Exactly.
We don't want you to definitely do this. No. Don't worry, I have plans.
Sweet.
I have ideas. Things are in the works.
Who knew, folks at home, that you could litter Curse of Strahd with so much extra? Unless this is an extra, unless this is all in the book.
No,
I would never know. I was gonna say.
Yeah, there's been a lot that I've added on. Honestly, like there's been a ton, and some of it I've taken from what other people have added on. Some of it has been my own stuff. So it's just
that's how it should.
That's how it should be. Homebrew, you know, like take the meat and potatoes of like and do your own stuff.
Yeah.
Add your own little spice.
Yeah. And speaking of party relationships, I kind of want to know where Killian, being the newcomer, where do you sit with Silas? Let's talk about that for just a second.
Where I sit with Silas is probably more of a Jefferson question.
Yeah. Well, I guess where does Silas sit with Killian?
That's
I guess is what he's asking. Like, what's your opinion of Silas? What's your perspective of the relationship? And then Silas will give his perspective of the relationship.
I would say Killian's perspective right now is pretty minimal. They're still getting to know each other a little bit. I would say that there's definitely like this opposing force. You know what I mean? Like this authoritarian kind of figure, which is Silas, and it's kind of my way or the highway. And then Killian is a little bit of a free thinker, kind of does it his own way. There's multiple way, you know, more than one way to skin a cat, sort of deal. But I think that there's also still like this respect that he has for him, and sees him as like a strong individual that's respectful.
It's interesting because as you say that, I don't think I've recognized until now the nuance also behind the idea of an artificer, a young artificer, and an old gunslinger, in the sense of like, even in the realms of D&D, but especially if you apply that to like nowadays, you know, like this young kid who knows technology and, like you said, is willing to look at the world in creative and new ways in order to solve problems, as opposed to this old timer who is set in his ways, or, you know, only has one way of going about it. I think it's very applicable to even, you know, any relationship between the young and the old. I think that's interesting, and I think I didn't recognize that nuance until now. You know, the old versus the new, which I think Silas could see as a threat to his, I don't want to over the group, but to his plans of how, I mean, because he wants to kill Strahd, and I think that Silas doesn't want to say it, but he wants to be the one to do it. Like, he doesn't want Killian to kill Strahd. Like, Silas wants to kill Strahd. You know what I mean? Like, Silas wants to be the one to pull the trigger in the end, for obvious reasons. But I think what we talked about earlier also plays a huge role in the sense that I think Silas sees a lot of, even though he doesn't know himself, I think he can see a lot of himself in Killian, and doesn't like it. He despises it, and I think that he doesn't want Killian around, not because of Killian, right? Not because of who Killian is, but because I think Silas is still hurt from Felix's death, and Silas still feels responsible for it. And Silas, I think, doesn't want to worry about protecting another person. Like, I think Silas will go to great lengths to protect Xeno, but I think Silas just thinks it will be much easier to go through this, terrible, terrible place with all these dangers, with only only to worry about himself and another guy that he's already known can take care of himself, right? Like, he's been with Xeno. He's only been with Xeno for a week or two, but he's fought battles with Xeno. You know what I mean? Like he's, going back several episodes to the Durst Manor when they're fighting the armor and Felix runs away because he's hurt, So Silas is like, Xeno, go protect the kid while I handle it down here. You know what I mean? So like they have worked together on a common goal of protecting somebody and defeating the darkness, And so I think that he just hasn't had those experiences with Killian yet. Yeah, we've had some fights together, but it's still unclear, like, of us really bonding over something, right? Like Xeno and Silas have bonded over trying to protect Felix, and were brought closer by the fact that they both shared his death. They both were there for that, right? And they both were, close to him. And so I think because of that, he's really close to Xeno and just doesn't want a third party mixing that up. I think he's also afraid of losing Xeno to Killian because Xeno is so friendly. And I think Silas doesn't want to feel like I think this is just me throwing up a lot of stuff, so shut me up at any time. But these are all just what Silas is thinking. I think Silas is worried that Xeno will lose sight of why, like, we want to kill Strahd, because Silas wants to kill Strahd because Strahd killed Felix. That's the only reason, right? Like, he doesn't care about anything else. And so I wonder if Silas wonders if Xeno might lose, or he fears that Xeno might lose sight of that in the bigger scheme of things, right? Here's this kid saying he's gonna kill Strahd for whatever reason, we need to. I think he's worried that that Xeno might forget or let dissipate the weight of Felix's death.
What's so interesting is that, yes, Xeno and Silas have had more experiences together, but Killian and Silas are so much more alike.
Yeah, no, they are.
Your things that you can find common ground on are like exponentially larger than Silas and Xeno.
Yeah.
Which I'm excited.
I'd agree with that.
I'm excited to see how that will play out.
Yeah.
Me too.
All of that said, I do think that it's probably going to lead into a lot of, Killian definitely feels this a little bit of hostility from Silas, and that's totally fine. And I think it's gonna come out with him, like trying to prove himself more and more and more. And it's like, what kind of crazy things is he gonna be willing to do to prove himself?
Which is funny because then at the same time, Silas will just view that as, dude, like, kid, you're like doing crazy stuff. Like, don't do crazy stuff. Like, that's the reason why I don't want you here. Yeah. So I think, I personally think we will get close in the future if we both survive long enough to get close. But I think as of right now, it will be slow going.
And that's okay. I'm excited for that.
I think it was easy with Felix, because it was like,
He was a kid.
stumbling. Yeah, he was a kid, and it was stumbling into
Mhm.
like a father figure. You know, like he needed
Mhm.
someone. Like Felix needed someone to take care of him, and Silas filled that role. But it's like Killian doesn't need anybody to take care of him. Like, yeah, we helped him out in a fight. Was it clear that he would actually die in that fight? We don't know. You know, I mean, he's a young adult, but he is an adult. You know,
Mhm.
so I think that's hard for Silas because all in all, Killian doesn't need him, but also. Silas absolutely thinks he's a liability.
Well, I mean, you think about the two fights that Silas and Killian have been in together. The first one, you were essentially saving his butt, and then the second one, he ran in and died.
Yeah.
You know, so he's kind of yeah, and you just saved his butt, and so it's like he is kind of a liability as of right now, as far as Silas can see.
Perceives it. Yeah. I know
Yeah.
you're not. I know artificers are powerful, but
Yeah,
Silas definitely
Killian is not very
perceives.
powerful. I'm gonna be totally honest. Killian is not. I did not. He's not gonna be. I don't know. We'll see. I got some things in the works. But yeah.
yeah, interesting stuff. Let's. Sorry,
No. go
did you
ahead.
have something?
I was just
Oh,
gonna say
was-
I'm so excited to see Silas and Killian's relationship because I'm like
Mhm.
the glue between them right now, and I can't wait to just be the third wheel. As weird as that sounds, I'm so excited for that.
And I
Yeah.
think that could come, provided we all survive to that point.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I just want to take a quick little break here and just shout out some comments that we had since our last few episodes. So, first off, we had a lot of comments talking about how sad it was when Felix died. That's what a lot of the comments were. They were like, "It takes a lot for me to cry, but I was fighting it." Some people were like, "I had to pause because I was crying," and I just think that that's so good. It shows how great Felix was and how awesome you guys did role playing it all. I mean, like it was some powerful stuff.
I wish I could have played Felix longer. I wish I could have played him so much longer. I love playing. I'm excited to see where Killian goes, but I really did love playing Felix. He was a very fun character to play.
Yeah. This was a comment that I actually thought was interesting, and something that we haven't really discussed. But this comment says, "You guys are single-handedly going to put everyone out of business," with a laughing face. Tarnish Granny's pies and basically rob the mercantile with that necklace.
Yes.
Yep.
We haven't even discussed the economical backfire of you guys ripping apart this poor little town with
Yeah,
all of your
but we're gonna do
expensive
so
stuff.
much more good for the city.
We're flooding the market.
Yeah.
What we
Build
what we
draft, not
lack
doing
in
anything.
economic planning, we make up for in infrastructure
Yep.
and building the morale.
well cleaning
Yep.
services.
Cleaning out those wells.
Well,
Um,
anyway, no, never mind.
Just the bad businesses.
Yeah.
It's funny to think though that like heroes come into town to save the town, but really they just destroy the economy and then move on. Like
Plummets the town into like a
like a huge economic slump. Like
Inflation
yeah.
over the last years is just a straight curve. It's not even a curve. It's just a
so
wall.
funny.
it's just like,
like
I remember when the heroes came to town. Yeah, I mean they cleaned our well, but man, like 1 gold is worth 50 platinum now.
Yeah.
Or 50, you know,
Bread costs
Yeah.
a platinum
worth
for
1
3
gold.
months afterwards.
Yeah.
They literally
like-
crashed the market with like bringing in some like enchanted beholder's eye or something like that, and then literally now my house is worth literally 5 times less.
yeah.
Like, did you see? It's like they don't even know if it was a necklace. One guy's like, I heard it was a dragon's heart, and the other
Yeah,
guy's
it's a
like,
bunch of
I
different
heard
stuff.
it was a witch's tooth.
Oh
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah, every town we go to, we just destabilize the economy and leave. That is so funny. Like,
By
I
the
think
end of the campaign, like everything is like in financial crisis and like
Someone needs to
loses.
add this into their
Strahd
campaign.
is dead.
Please. Not because
You
he
take off his
dies, but-
money. You literally take everything from the market of value and just leave it for
Everything
nothing.
he owns is just trash. He's just we
Yeah.
bankrupt Strahd. That's how we
Yeah.
win this campaign.
Yeah.
That would be so funny. But
Oh
I
my
just I
gosh.
think that that's such a funny premise too of like any heroic story. It's like, yeah, the heroes came in and saved the town, but they destroyed the town. Kind of like a Superman and Man of Steel. You know how like
Yeah.
afterwards in Batman v Superman, they talk about like the destruction of the city. Like same idea, you know? It's like, okay, yeah, they saved the town, but in the process they destabilized the economy and caused everybody to move.
Yeah, but like, can let's go off on this tangent for just 1 second. Let's think about this. So there's a town that has a lot of things of value in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's this area that is a huge hotspot for like treasure and gold, and there's something there that's bringing a bunch of people in, and this inflow of like tourism essentially is coming in, and then these little tourists, they come in, they kill the thing that's bringing in all these people, and they take everything of worth, and then they leave. And that is what D&D groups are actually doing.
Are we the bad guys? Are we the like? Is killing Strahd
I
going to be
know.
worse for Barovia than leaving him there?
Adventurers
Like,
are
you're
the
taking
ultimate
away everything.
capitalists.
Seriously? Oh man, they are adventure capitalists.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. That's so
Oh,
funny.
man,
I've never thought about what happens to the town after.
Yeah. Like, what happens to a town after you kill the dragon? The thing that's
And
bringing everyone
bringing it-
in.
Yeah,
the
or
thing
bringing
that
in
has
its
brought-
and it destabilizes the economy.
Yeah, and then you take everything of value from it, completely plummeting the market and everything down. I mean, like, adventurers are just
That's
the
so
worst.
True. Oh my gosh.
Or what if like whenever these towns like get all of this money, they become super towns. Like maybe the opposite happens. Like they thrive, but they get like power hungry and they start going after like big civilizations. You know what I mean? Like it's like this little rinky-dink little village, and then like these heroes come in, they bring in a dragon horde of cash. They flood the market there.
But what heroes would ever just leave a dragon hordes of cash in the village?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's valuable things in the village, but there's not enough for a dragon's horde. Like, those heroes are keeping
Probably
the
not.
dragon's
Yeah.
horde. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe
And-
they're
and if
heroes.
they're-
It's
Maybe
just
they're
an
good
economy.
guys.
It's just
like
a
they're supposed
reset.
to be.
That's all it is. It's a market crash.
but again, it's like the same idea. That,
Yeah, it's just the
That's how
dust
that's how
bowl.
the rich get
That's like-
richer. Okay.
I don't know. It's the same idea of like, if a real El Dorado would be found, like it would devalue gold so much that it wouldn't be worth finding El Dorado, because you'd go from, $1,500 an ounce to $100 an ounce, and then it wouldn't mean anything. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
First of
The
all, it
same
would all be
idea.
owned by the state, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Nothing that wouldn't go onto the market at all.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is like, even if what you're saying is true, Zane, that like
Right,
let's
right,
say
right.
the heroes take the dragon's horde and just spend it all in the town.
Yep.
That's inflation. There's so much money that now the money's worthless. Like okay, yeah, they have this mountainous horde of money, but it doesn't mean anything because everybody has money. Because you know what I mean?
Everybody in the town, but what about the other towns? Their markets haven't been flooded. Like the cash is equal the same
If it
there.
transfers, if it's all connected, then it's the same market. Like if towns are trading with each other, then it's the same market. So if one town gets a dragon's horde of gold and begins trading with the other towns, that causes inflation, because then a whole bunch of money is pouring into all these other towns, and then it just spills over. So no matter what, it's either one, we take all the value out of the town, keep the money and leave so that they're poor, or two, we dump all the money into the town, and then, 1 gold is really not worth any gold. And then you have an artist that doesn't get into art school, and he promises that the town will get rich again if they invade their neighboring, and then it's just World War II. economics for you, everybody.
Yeah, if you are an ecologist, we would love to have you on the show one time and talk about this, the deeper meanings of what adventurers are really doing.
Ramifications. Please comment below if you've taken an intro to econ class and let us know if what we're saying is true or not.
Oh man. Anyways, let's get back to this last comment, and then we can
All right.
can move on.
My brain is,
Oh.
my mind is blown.
I know, I've never thought of that before. So, all right. So I love all the backstory for Silas and can't wait to learn more. And just when I started thinking Xeno wasn't as dark as I originally thought, he cuts off his pinky. I honestly have no idea what Xeno will do. The fact that he's still trying to contact this deity makes me think he's going to start his cult in Barovia, but I don't know what motivates him.
That is
I
a
thought
good
that was a
question.
really good comment.
What does motivate Xeno?
Friends.
Friends.
Influence? Not even power. Influence.
Yeah.
I mean, influence is
it's not necessarily-
power.
It's not necessarily power because he doesn't want to. I mean, yeah, you definitely hit the nail on the head. It's influence. Because it's
But
not.
influence is power.
It's not power.
Not that
It's
you
not-
want the
he
power.
doesn't have to be the most powerful person in the room,
Of course.
but he wants to be able to have sway.
But the person with the
Why?
most sway in the room is the one with the most power. Does that make
Why
sense?
does
Like,
Xeno
everybody doesn't
want
want
for
power.
sure.
have sway?
For sure, but it's not to. He doesn't come from it from a place of, like, oh, I want to be the emperor. He comes from it from a place of, hey, if I can help benefit the people that I like, but also gain something from it, then he views it as a win-win. Even though with most
I
people,
guess that's not totally
he
evil.
probably gets more out of the deal than what they get. And the whole, like, not playing Xeno as dark for a little bit was very intentional. So shout out to that person because they were absolutely spot on. I went through a phase where I started off really creepy and really dark, and I wanted to portray Xeno going through phases of, like, yeah, just being his very nice self, but then coming back to the kind of the true desires of his heart.
Because he's got to be likable.
Yeah, he has to be likable. It doesn't
That's how he
work.
gets all the people, you know? And so
Mhm.
you just showed him being likable and
Yep.
starting his collection. That's
Yep.
really smart.
Because I had new friends and I couldn't
Yeah.
just be like, hey, I'm gonna go off and convince a drunk guy to sell me his soul.
Xeno is definitely a collector of people.
Mhm. Very much so.
Which
That's so
in turn
interesting.
gives you influence, you know what I mean? But that's
Yep.
how you do it. It's almost like your currency is people.
Yep.
Mm,
100%.
I like that.
100%, Zane. And
Man.
like, I won't even beat around the bush. Xeno's pretty evil. Not like outright murder everybody.
I knew
doesn't,
it.
Doesn't have a problem with people being good, but I'm not like a chaotic neutral character. I'd be more like a chaotic evil.
Well, maybe lawful evil.
Maybe a little lawful evil. Like, kind of just depends on the circumstance.
Interesting.
And it really depends who you are. Like, if you get in his way, then it would be much more chaotic evil. Like, I'm just not even gonna bat an eye. I'm gonna get rid of you because you are interfering with me. But probably for the most part, lawful evil.
Yeah.
But yeah, by
It's
no
like
means
Magneto.
he's by no means a good character.
You know, Magneto, he's evil to Xavier, but man, to the Brotherhood, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just depends on what side of that coin you see.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Theseus.
Exactly.
The coin's flipping in the air. What's it gonna
Yeah.
land on?
Xeno
Yep.
and Theseus would be great friends.
I think
I-
they really would be good friends. Well, yeah,
I don't know. Would they though?
I don't
Is-
know.
Because Theseus was about power.
Theseus is too ambitious. Is
I
more
think
ambitious
so.
than Xeno.
It's like two bowls. You know, these two like A-type personality
Mhm.
figures. I don't know if it would really. I don't
See,
know.
they're different, but they're different.
They're different.
A-types.
Is that like Theseus's desire for power would not bug Xeno in the slightest. He would be like encouraging it all day and not
Mhm.
trying to interfere with it because he's like, oh, this is somebody who's cut from the same cloth as me. We're different in how we approach it. But I think he would really be able to relate to Theseus.
I wonder if Xeno would use Theseus.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
I see Xeno
course.
more as like a
for
like
sure.
a mastermind, whereas
Mhm.
Theseus is more of like the brute force type of a villain.
For sure.
You know,
That's-
and I use villain lightly, like
Yeah.
the mastermind versus the brute.
That's why,
The
and
joke's
I
face.
don't think I've ever said this in any of the actual shows, but I know I've told you and Zane Jefferson, I've told both of
Mhm.
you that Xeno will never try to influence either of your characters to do
Right.
something untoward that would be damaging to yourselves. Partially because, yes, he does care about you, but it's kind of the bigger picture of like, I'm not going to do that because I have to have some type of, if I'm just let loose on the people, then they're not going to like me. I have to have some type of cover.
Mm-hmm.
The
Not that
anarchist.
Not that's all you guys are to him, because it's certainly
Sure.
not. But
Mhm.
you're not.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be so concerned about being your friend.
That's fair.
Well,
Well,
maybe we'll see. No, I never would. And the more that he gets to know them, the less likely. Like, even though I already know there's no chance,
Mm-hmm.
it'll change more from like, oh, you guys are just a cover, to like, oh, I genuinely care about these people.
Interesting.
I'm interested to see where Xeno's relationship goes with both Silas and Killian.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like reading through the comments. Like, Frills, let us know in the comments anything, and we would love to talk about it on the show. And honestly, like, let us know if there's anything else that you want us to do, any additional content that you want us to put out. Like, please, we really appreciate it, and we read them, and we take everything into heart. So if there's something that you want to see us do, if there's something you want to see more of, like, please let us know. We really appreciate it.
Very much.
But seeing as we've been at this for a long time, and this episode is getting very long, let's do a quick lightning round
Okay.
to finish off the show.
Okay.
So, what are your thoughts on Granny M?
Absolutely putting people in pies.
Awesome.
I think she's actually good. I don't think she's putting humans in pies.
Nope, she's not good.
Hmm.
I have yet to listen to Xeno's conversation with her.
Do you want
But-
spoilers?
Yeah,
I mean,
want
it's already
spoilers.
out there if you want.
yeah,
if
sure.
you
Yeah.
wanna know.
Give it
come
to
on.
me.
Give it.
She's a witch.
Yeah.
A good witch?
I mean, she likes me, so
Okay,
Bad
well,
witch,
that's
evil witch. Putting people in
and-
pies, witch.
they basically, she was like, my sisters and I will do whatever you need. You just let us know.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, it was heavy. Xeno was freaking hyped, dude.
Ooh.
What the?
Yeah.
Was I right about Annie M putting people in the pies?
Potentially. Yeah, that
I
could
was like, great. She's awesome. She's wonderful.
Yep. Yeah. So
bet
yeah,
she's a
she
good
was
witch.
like, we're all witches, and basically we serve the same deity.
Oh dang! How did they
the,
know?
The weird thing is, she could just like sense it from me. She could just tell that I had been contacted. But the crazy thing is that she was like, "You're a male," which is almost unheard of. And so the fact that I'm a male,
The Raven Queen,
and I got approached by this deity, she was like you could potentially be her champion. So anything that you need,
Are we all champions of our
we will
things?
help you. Yeah,
Cool.
that was really fun.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew she
But
was
yeah,
evil.
still go back and listen to it because it's really
I will.
good.
Yeah,
Well.
'cause it's really good. All right. Let's talk about lightning round number 2. Silas visiting Velix's grave.
I want to hear
Such
your
a good
guys'
moment.
thoughts first.
So heartfelt. What a freaking! It was so
Mhm.
perfect. I didn't even consider that we'd probably never be back there in a very long time. I mean, that was phenomenal.
1000%.
Or ever. I mean, like, what if Silas
Yeah.
dies when he
Yeah.
leaves this town? You know, I think he
Mhm.
wanted.
Yeah,
It was only a few days ago, but I think he wanted to go one more time.
yeah, that was great. I understand now. When you were first like, "Let's split up," I was like, "Why is Jefferson?"
No, I was
wanna
like, what are you-
split the party? What's he planning?
Yeah.
Split the party. Split the party.
And I can't remember if I said this when we were recording or afterwards, but like I rolled a lot on the random encounter table because I was like, you are running off into the woods by yourself, and there were some close calls, but nothing actually went through.
It's awesome. It was meant
Because
to
I was
be.
like, man, you're taking your
Felix's
life
Spirit
in your own
was
hands.
protecting
I
me.
was
He's
gonna say the
guiding you.
exact same thing.
He was
Rest
guiding
in
me.
peace, little guy.
Rest in peace. No, and I think Silas needed to go alone. I don't think he wanted, as much as he loves Xeno, I think he needed. That was, I know we buried him before, but I think that was Silas's closure. Like, in a way. I mean,
Yeah.
I still don't think Silas is over it, but
Yeah, and Xeno deals with the grief a lot different than Silas does. Like Xeno's
Yeah.
okay
Yeah.
about it. He's okay. Like it
Yeah.
hurt, but he'll be all right.
yeah, no, I think Silas is still reeling, so.
It's a good one.
Interesting.
Very good.
So, who is actually behind the zombie plague?
Definitely could be Strahd. Strahd could definitely be a top contender here. I don't know why, but
I
I
think
don't think it's Strahd.
You don't think it's Strahd? I think it's somebody who's influenced by Strahd. I don't think it's necessarily Strahd himself.
yeah, obviously Strahd isn't
Um,
doing the legwork of putting zombies in the well. Yeah, he would obviously have his cronies come do all that for him.
I don't know.
Question is why. It's like who. The real question is why. Why
Yeah.
would someone want to destabilize this tiny little town, like, and just suck it dry of all hope?
Who
You know, like, 'cause
benefits?
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, who benefits the
benefits
most
the-
from most?
Yeah.
Nobody. I don't think Strahd benefits from killing his populace. I do not think I do not think Strahd is a kind leader, but I don't think he is a dumb leader either. Like I don't think Strahd goes out of his way to hurt everybody that he rules over because just like you said, Killian, Strahd knows that a ruler is nothing without his people, right? If Strahd kills everybody in Barovia, who does he rule over? No one.
Yep.
Because as we know, this Vistani can leave and come as they please. So I don't think it's Strahd because I don't, even though Strahd has personal motives like to go after Irina and other people, I don't think he would go so far as to destroy the town that bears the country's name. So I think it's somebody else. And I wonder if it is somebody else, not out of malice, but out of like, let's put the town out of their misery. Let's destroy the town and take them out of this hell. So I wonder if it's like a misguided attempt
Yeah.
to end the suffering of the people.
I don't think we've met him personally.
I agree.
Interesting.
Because everybody that we've met has nothing to gain from it. But
Interesting.
We'll see.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts on the? I know you haven't really investigated it much, but the missing persons. Any thoughts?
Werewolves.
I think werewolves, or there's
Or
like,
Granny M.
or there's a horror. It could be Granny M, or a den of vampires.
Definitely some
either-
creatures of the
that are either
night.
close by, or somebody is like feeding them, like satiating them so that they don't attack or something weird like that. I don't know.
It's definitely
Interesting.
something.
For sure it's something.
Controversial opinion. It could be something.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I don't know. We might have to edit that. We might have to edit that one out, Zane. That was a little too far.
Yeah.
I know this is
Sorry.
coming out of left field, but I'm pretty sure it's not nothing.
Jefferson, I disagree.
I just like to rile people up.
I mean, what if people are just running away?
True.
To where?
Anywhere.
I don't know.
I mean, the whole country seems like it sucks. So where are you gonna
Yeah.
go?
Yeah, I don't know. All right. What are your thoughts on the future? Is there anything you want to speculate going forward? Anything you've got lingering in your mind?
I think Xeno's path just got a lot darker. That's where I think
For sure.
it's headed.
I agree. But I still don't think that it makes him necessarily evil. You know?
Just loosely evil. I have good days.
I'm
We
not
haven't- we haven't-
convinced.
We haven't gathered enough information to really.
Listen,
Is he hashtag evil or hashtag not?
heck, not evil.
Yeah.
Listen, I've spent a year and a half listening to someone fight tooth and nail that they are not bad, just for them to be bad, like not good.
But
And
are they? I will never. I will never stop.
so I have a hard time. This is Jefferson speaking, and this is in the context of this campaign. I'm not judging anybody whose backstories I don't know, so I can't judge Xeno yet. But
True.
it's really hard for people to be like, I'm doing all this bad stuff for kind of bad reasons, but I'm not a guy.
I'm not a bad guy.
But
I'm a bad guy, but I'm not
I will admit that bad
bad
choices
guy.
does not make somebody a bad person. I will absolutely admit that. I and that good people make bad choices and are in bad situations too. So I can see both sides of Xeno for sure.
I mean, I'm pretty evil. Like, I've admitted it multiple times.
Bad guy.
I convinced a guy to sell his soul to me. Like,
Yeah, you're right.
That's
see,
very
I'm
true.
not just like outright like let's destroy the world evil, but like I'm selfish. Very selfish.
And that's a pretty broad stroke to say the only way to be evil is if you want to destroy the world. So
Nope, that's evil in my book.
that cuts out a lot of people that are pretty evil.
Do
Strahd,
I
not evil.
Does Xeno
Nope.
think he's evil? No.
No, of course not.
Xeno doesn't think that Strahd's evil, huh?
No,
Maybe he
Xeno
just has. Do
doesn't
you think
think
it?
that he's he himself.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
But rather than trying to convince us he's not, Connor's like, yeah, he's evil.
It's just easier
Look, I
that
think
way.
I just think that there's a difference between doing some evil things for the betterment.
That's what all
the
evil people think, Zane. That's
yeah,
what every
killing a party member just to gain power. That's not
that is
evil.
literally what
There's too many
every
spoilers, there's too
big
many
bad
spoilers.
evil guy has ever said is that I'm doing this for the good of society.
This may be bad, but it's for good reasons.
It's ultimately for the good
of me, nobody else but
of me and everyone. No.
Yeah, who else does it benefit? Anyway,
Anyways, speed round.
anyways, all right. That's it for the after show. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow us on our socials down below. if you like what we do, support us on Patreon, like and subscribe, leave a comment, all those good things. We'll catch you next time, and as always, we love you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
So
Bye.
long.